and sit, talk for a while. Say what you mean, nothing too high. I can see that shine in your eye, laughing out loud with your beautiful smile.
Hey Frederick, welcome back to Frederick's 5 Cent Philosophers Podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Jazz.
Today we have a treat for you. It's all about chickens and kombucha.
That's right. Two of my favorite things.
Yeah.
So the process with kombucha is it's basically a fermented tea. What you do is you boil some tea. It has to be non-chlorinated water, no chlorine. So you boil tea with can be black or green tea, and then you add this thing that's called a SCOBY or a mother, and that's it's a what is a SCOBY? It's a symbiotic combination of yeast and bacteria.
Yep.
So that's the same thing that you get with vinegar as well. So what you do is you boil the tea, then you add the SCOBY, and then you cover it with a cheese. You put it in a big bottle. You cover it with cheesecloth, and you put it in a dark place. And it has to be between 64 and 78 degrees. So you do that. You cover it, and it takes up to 2 weeks. So anywhere between 10 days and 2 weeks. And then you can taste it. Once it doesn't taste like tea anymore, and it starts becoming acidic, you know it's ready. And you can change that to your liking if you want it more sour. Or then you bottle it, and once you bottle it, it will start becoming carbonated. So that'll give you the fizz, which is tasty.
So this isn't alcoholic per se, but there is a little bit of alcohol in it from the fermentation process.
Yeah, I think it's 0.05 is the average alcohol content.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that though. When they started, this came on the market like in the 90s, like late 90s. It started being like in the health food stores and all that kind of stuff. And they had an issue. And it was like I don't know what it went up to. I think 5 or 6%. Basically became like a normal beer or whatever. And they had issues because the fermentation continues once it's in the bottle.
Right.
So they had to pull it all off the shelf, and I guess the brewers that were making it had to change their process or do something, so they made sure that it stopped fermenting once it was bottled.
But you don't have that problem at home.
No, and that's not a problem at all.
Right.
We'll take it. No, but so anyway, there's a lot of benefits from it.
Yeah.
Obviously modern science or mainstream science is not gonna say that there's any benefits from it because, but there's, supposedly it's good for arthritis. Obviously the probiotics, like any other fermented food.
Right.
Like
yogurt or pickles.
Sauerkraut.
True pickles, sauerkraut. Yeah, those probiotics are really good for your system because your system has a lot of bacteria in it already, and if you were sick, like you had a sinus infection or something, and the doctor gave you antibiotics. Well, the antibiotics kill all that stuff that's in your system, in your GI tract. And you may need that in the short term. You may need that because you have some sort of infection going on. You want to kill everything. But what happens is afterwards you want that good stuff back in you, and so you have to repopulate your GI tract and everything else with this good bacteria. And so that kombucha or sauerkraut,
yogurt,
or kimchi, yogurt, all these different fermented products give you that good...
Kimchi actually is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same SCOBY.
Yeah.
Makes either kimchi or kombucha.
Cool.
So
cool. Yeah, that good they call it the flora that's in your system. That good flora is the kind of stuff that you would want to be in your system. And so after a course of antibiotics, get some of this stuff. Yeah. Make this stuff or buy it locally. There's some people who make it locally, but you can make it yourself.
Yep.
Or you could do sauerkraut yourself. There's a local company here that makes sauerkraut. Hopefully we'll have them on at some point to talk about their product.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy to make. Very, very simple. What you do need to get is the mother or the SCOBY. I think we called it symbiotic culture. I think it's symbiotic combination of bacteria and yeast.
It's good.
SCOBY. So
it's good.
You need to get this mother from somebody. So actually this bottle was made from another bottle and while it was in the bottle, it created another SCOBY on top. So that's all you would need. That guy, brew your tea, throw them in there, and you're well on your way to making your own home kombucha.
So it's truly relational because you have to know someone who has that mother already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So someone in your local area has that mother already, you can grab a piece of that and start your own process. Yep. So it's a truly relational drink.
It almost makes like, yeah, exactly. It almost, what I've seen is, my wife usually makes it, so I'm not that every time, so I don't look at it every time, but what I have seen though, most of the time, you put the SCOBY in, and when you're done with that batch, there's another SCOBY that's equal size. So it's very easy to share. I mean, for example, my wife learned from John and Stacy, our friends that made the moonshine for the last show.
Yeah.
She learned from his wife, Stacy.
Yeah.
And now she's taught about 5 other people. So that chain is just extending, you know. So
yeah.
I'm sure Stacy learned from another one of our friends, you know.
Yep.
So you know, that's 6 people there, with just in our local circle that now has the benefits of this.
Cool.
So if nothing else, it gives us the probiotics. There's all kinds of, you know, it's, you know how things go.
Yeah.
They go down a rabbit hole. It cures cancer, it cures whatever,
right.
you know, paralysis, whatever. I don't know about all those, but
yeah,
it's been around for, I think, 2,000 years. Other people say 200 years. Who knows?
Kimchi's been around for a long time, so if it's the same stuff as kimchi, then
yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know exactly. I think it's Manchuria or Eastern Russia is where they say it originated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's delicious. I mean, it's good stuff.
It's fantastic. I mean, and a lot of people mix it with juice. You know, my wife would mix it with all different types of organic juices. So
yeah, and you
name it.
You can make this is regular tea regular tea flavor,
black
basically.
or green tea.
But you can make it with other stuff. You can make it with different fruits when you.
I'm not sure about that.
When you brew the tea,
I'm not sure about that. I'm assuming you could, but I'm not positive about that.
Yeah.
She always just makes it black or green tea. Puts a SCOBY in with it. Cool. And then when it's finished, she mixes it with different juices. Usually, lately she's just been drinking it straight. She gave up on the juices.
Yeah.
She drinks it almost every morning.
It's really good because of the probiotics. It's really good for your digestion.
Yeah.
It really creates a really good digestive situation for you if you especially if you had been on antibiotics before.
Right. It's like apple cider vinegar. I
right.
mean, that's about as good as you can get. Right. I mean,
that uses the mother as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So next we're going to be talking about Jazz's chickens, and our place of the week, our place of this episode is Jazz's Chicken Shack.
No relation to Jimmy's Chicken Shack. We went to College Park for undergraduate, and they were big. They were huge there. They were one of the biggest bands. I mean, if you were going out on a Friday or Saturday night, Jimmy's Chicken Shack was probably playing somewhere. And I think probably all over Maryland too. I don't know. I think they're pretty big all over Maryland too. They're basically a reggae band, right? Anyway.
Now, Jazz's Chicken Shack.
How y'all doing? Welcome to my house, farm, ranch, whatever you want to call it. It's up here in Lewistown, just north of Frederick. About 8 miles north of downtown. About 8 miles. So come on in, check out the barn. So this used to be a former horse barn, but we converted it into our chicken coop. So we have a bunch of straw here, just leftover remnants. I'll meet my lady chickens. They're in here. Jason's want to come in. So these are called sex links because you can tell their sex at their birth. You can tell if they're female or males right away, right when they're born. They're also called red stars. I guess they're the type of sex links they are, red stars. I think they're a mix between Rhode Island Reds and another breed. Can't remember the name of the other breed, but so we have a coop here. It's wise to keep the coop off the ground from predators, and also because if it gets wet or flooding, I think it's better to have it up. And they also prefer it to be up. So you can build different contraptions for them to perch. They like to sleep up top here. That's usually where they sleep. We've had chickens before these guys, and they like to sleep on top of the coop. So this is our fourth set of 4 that we've gotten. And yeah, they're all different. They all kind of have their own unique personality, but these guys are very civil toward each other. My last couple groups were they fought a lot, but these guys all get along very well. So up here we have galvanized steel mesh. This is what I would say to get is the best because this can keep everything out. This can keep minks out. This can keep raccoons out. Pretty much you name it. This galvanized 1/16 gauge or gauge is what the kind is. You can get all different types of gauges or gauges. I'm not sure how you say that.
Gauge.
So you get 1/24th, 1/16th, or sorry, 16 gauge, 24 gauge, 18 gauge. This is 16, and we have it all through the bottom here too. If you can see, we've lined the entire bottom of the coop that way, and that keeps rats out and any snakes. If you have a problem with snakes, we don't really have a problem with snakes here per se. I haven't seen any, and so what else can I tell you about the coop? If you want to look here, this is where they lay. Inside here is the
Where they lay eggs?
It's called the nesting box, and we have a couple in there. We took them out this morning, but that's already since this morning. They've already laid a couple. Oh yeah, so that's one thing I wanted to say about these guys. These guys are considered prolific layers, so they lay about 360 eggs a year. So only about 5 days a year they're not laying.
Cool.
Yeah, there are other people like pretty birds. They're called ornamental species. They don't lay as much, and there's other types of these are layers. We don't have a rooster. These are layers, and they're meant for eggs production. Their uses for eggs. There's other birds called broilers, and they're used for meat. So there's meat chickens and egg chickens. So these are egg chickens, and we don't have any roosters. So the eggs will never be fertilized. So that's one thing we don't have to worry about. All the eggs they lay, we can eat.
So what are they doing here?
This is called pecking. This is a natural. There's natural behavior. They do this constantly. We just put some new hay in here. That's why they're doing it right this second. But they do this outside. They do this outside constantly when they go out. This is just their instinct. This is how they look for bugs, basically. Bugs and food.
So you have them outside with the bugs and the grubs and the worms and stuff like that outside.
Yep. So,
But you have something here too.
Yeah,
What's this?
This is their feed.
Okay.
This is their feed and their water. This feed it has everything in it. It has all the nutrients they need. It has a form of grit, which is which helps their digestive system. They don't have teeth, obviously, and they don't have a digestive system like we do. So what they do is they mash their food up in their gizzard, and in order to do that, they need something called grit, stones or oyster grit, shell grit, and that's used. You can buy that as an additive, but this food, like I said, already has it in it. But if they need it, we have extra grit and shell grit that we throw around the property. We also mix it in their food. You can see it here. This white stuff is a shell grit. You can see it inside the food. And that helps their digestion, they aids their digestion, and it also gives them calcium for their eggs. It strengthens their eggs.
Cool. Neat.
So, and then we obviously have to have fresh water for them.
Mm-hmm.
Always have to have fresh water. So I change that out pretty much every day, even though you don't really need to. I change it out once every day or once every couple days. They probably could go a week with it, but I like to keep it fresh for them. And so we built this on 2x4s over here. It's very simple design. We've also put another 2x4 here, and we took some bark off a log, skinned the bark off, and just nailed it into here. Sorry, screwed it into here. So that gives them a place to keep their, get them traction on their way up. Done the same thing over here. Strip bark off any piece of tree and drilled it into this 2x4. So they can grab this as they go in and out. You can see we done the same thing outside here in their run. So here you want to make sure your door is secure, doesn't have any holes in it. So this is the typical chicken wire you see most people have. And this is great at keeping the chickens in. It's not any good for keeping the predators out. Anything can pretty much get through this. Maybe birds, maybe hawks might not be able to, but pretty much anything else can. So out here in the run, this is where they come out during the day. They don't typically stay out here very long. They come out, they'll look for bugs, critters, what have you. But this is also where we give them scraps. You don't want to keep the scraps inside the coop because it'll cause rat infestation or mice infestation, or it'll just be gross. You keep the food out here in the run, they'll come out and eat it all as they see fit. And that way you can see we got some leftover apples here that they haven't finished yet. We also keep some logs out here for them. They like to jump on things. Keep some logs and some bricks and things like that, and then you can turn those over occasionally. You can turn those over and there's all kinds of goody worms, bugs, even newts, salamanders, all kinds of crickets, you name it. Whatever bug lives under things, you flip these over occasionally, and there's a source of bugs for them in their run. We also have a bunch of grit here that they can have if they need it. So later on in the day, we'll let them free range. So we can let them out of this gate here, and they have all this property to free range. We also let them out that door over there. So they love grass, they love clover, they love everything. They can actually, their instincts, whatever vitamins or nutrients they need, their body needs, they can look in the grass and pick it out. So it's medicinal to them, and that's a good reason not to fertilize or weed kill your lawn, because all the different varieties that grow naturally, they need it, and it helps them. It's like I said, it's like plant medicine for the chickens, and they know exactly what they need. They'll go out and search for whatever they need. So it's good to have a variety of different weeds and things like that in your lawn. Anyway, that's what I say. So I don't have to weed and use fertilizer and stuff. We also have a stream that runs back here, so they have an extra source of water in case they need it. So yeah, one thing I forgot to mention while we were inside the coop was the poop. The chicken poop is valuable. They call it black gold for your garden, for your flower beds, wherever you want to use fertilizer. It's considered hot compost or hot poop. That means the urine and the poop is together. Cold poop is when urine and the poop is separate. So hot poop is exceptionally nutrient because it has all of it combined. So what we do is we have the hay in there. You guys saw the hay in the coop. What we do is occasionally we'll go out there and clean out the poop, and we'll mix it with the hay. And this is perfect. This is like a natural compost. And you can just wait. Some people say you're supposed to wait 3, 4, 5 months before you actually add it to the garden. But in the case of flowers, obviously it doesn't matter. But in case for your food, you don't want to touch it to the food necessarily. What we do is we just rotate it in the ground. We dig a hole and we mix this in with actual compost from our kitchen. So, and it does wonders for your garden, and your vegetables and fruits will love you for it. So that's one more added benefit of having chickens.
So there's a few things that when we were filming the chickens and you were telling us a lot of stuff, there's a few things you said that you had wanted to say, you forgot to say.
Yeah. So one was the predators. I wanted to talk about the predators because I didn't get into the predator. I just said we didn't have snakes. We have a lot of snakes, but they haven't predated on my chickens per se. And foxes, I think they stay away because our neighbors have dogs. But we have had a lot of problems with hawks, and actually a mink took 3 of our chickens recently.
Yeah.
That's why I doubled up with the steel gauge 16. Anyway, so predators are a big deal. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the eggs themselves. The eggs can be kept non-refrigerated for about a month inside, maybe longer, maybe 6 weeks inside, without refrigeration. And the reason for that is because the eggs, when they come out, they have a protective coating on them, which is very important because any egg you get in the store, the USDA, my favorite author, Joel Salatin, actually likes to call them the US duh, because they make every farmer, even if they're organic farmers, make them wash their eggs in a chlorine bath. And what that does, that destroys that permeable membrane. There's that membrane on the outside that's protecting the egg. It destroys them, and then the egg is permeable, so it's open to anything. after that. So you do that chlorine bath, it exposes the egg, and also the chlorine gets inside the egg. So any egg you buy in a store has chlorine in it. On top of that, the average shelf life of an egg in the grocery market is 3 months. So most eggs you buy in the grocery store are 3 months old. So we eat eggs that are a day old, 2 days old. But like I said, you can with that membrane on there intact, they can stay unrefrigerated for over a month easy. They can stay in nature for 3 weeks in heat, 100-degree heat. And so anyway, so that's one thing that's really cool about backyard chickens is the eggs and how they're naturally come out protected. Another thing about that is if you care about this sort of thing, industrial farming for eggs is the most unethical practice. These chickens are kept in cages, wire cages, most of the time, where they never even get to spread their wings their entire life. So no scratching. You took pictures of the chicken scratching. That's their natural thing. That's what they want to do. That's like not being able to sigh or yawn or something. I mean, these chickens are never allowed to do that. They're in a wire cage. They never get to play in dirt. They never get to eat any bugs. All the different grasses I was telling you about in the video. They never get to eat any of that stuff. Right. It's a shame, and they're treated cruelly by the staff too, because the staff is underpaid. They're overworked. Right. So if you care about that kind of thing, backyard chickens would be the most impactful thing you could do to prevent that. Right. If people don't need that, industrial food system, then maybe they'll change. Maybe Right. Maybe they see, we're losing customers left and right because of our practices. Right. So that's another thing, which is kind of important.
So you mentioned an author, Joel Salatin, and did you learn about chickens from him, or did you learn about farming from him? Anything that was interesting to? I mean, what was your favorite book by him?
Oh yeah.
What does he talk about?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I learned a lot of things about. I did learn about chickens from him. He talks about everything. He has a farm in Swope, Virginia, which is the Shenandoah Valley, and he's all about local farming. He doesn't ship his meats anywhere. He became big because of a book by Michael Pollan, who's a famous author. Mm-hmm. He wrote Omnivore,
Omnivore's
Dilemma, which is
Michael Pollan.
So Michael Pollan in that book was trying to get some of his meat. He was like, "Hey Joel, I'm writing this book on, the historical nature of eating, things from scratch and things along that nature, along those lines." And Joel said, "I don't send my meat anywhere. You have to be local to buy my meat." He couldn't believe it. He badgered him, couldn't get it. So eventually he went down.
He wanted to pay extra.
And Joel's like, "I don't do that." So anyway, finally Michael Pollan went down to Joel's farm and actually ate, met with him and ate with him, and I think they're good friends now. Yeah. But yeah, so Folks, This Ain't Normal is my favorite book by him. It's incredible. If you guys have a chance to read that book, it's
Holy Cows and Hog Heaven.
That's the number one book. If you want to start with Joel Salatin, that's the one to start with, because that explains organic farming, localism, why it's important.
I also have Everything I Want to Do Is Illegal.
Yeah. That's a funny title. But that's all about regulations. Yeah. And you know well about that because you've had many businesses where regulations kind of kill your profits, right? I mean,
definitely.
So that's why he calls it the U.S. duh, and FDA, because of all the stupid policies they have,
Right.
He was on Joe Rogan's show, and Joe Rogan was asking him, grilling him about...
Who's Joe Rogan?
He has a small podcast,
Oh, he podcasts too?
He's trying to be like us, but he's not quite there yet. But it was funny because he was talking about how if a farmer had a cow and he wanted to butcher it and give it to his neighbors, he'd be able to. But if he butchered it and wanted to sell it to his neighbors, that would be illegal. And Joe Rogan's, which is a mainstream viewpoint, was like, oh yeah, that's for safety reasons. If the government's concerned about your safety, how does that work? If it's free, it's safe. But if you charge somebody, it becomes dangerous all of a sudden. It sounds more like
Protectionism.
Protectionism. Right? So,
What's protectionism?
protectionism is when there's laws in place that protect the businesses that are big or in favor with the government. There's laws put into place that keep them profitable.
The large corporations are okay, but the little guy gets squished.
Yes. Yeah. Keep them profitable while,
Yeah.
like for example, different topic, but green companies. Shell and BP are the largest green companies in the world because they can donate 5% of their budget or whatever it is, 15% of their budget to green technologies or green initiatives. Mm-hmm. Well, that would destroy anybody coming up that's not large.
Right.
So
yeah. So that's it for this episode, but we wanted to talk about what our event is that we're promoting this time around. It's the 6th annual Fast and Furriest. It's a 5K.
I'm registered.
Will you be running?
I will be.
Cool.
My family, my wife and 2 kids will be doing the 1K walk.
Cool.
We've got a couple neighbors doing the 5K with me.
So it's Sunday, April 25th, and you do have to register online.
Yep.
So the 6th annual Fast and Furriest is here in Frederick.
If you register early, it's about $20, which I did. I registered a couple months ago, so it keeps going up.
Yeah.
The closer you get to the date, it keeps going up.
But it's still a month out, so it's still cheap.
Probably, I'm not sure. But then kids are free. Anybody under 5 is free, and I think anybody under 10 is like $5 or something.
It helps out animals.
Yeah, it's for a good cause. It's charitable.
Right.
Yeah. It's all. I think all the proceeds go to Humane Society or
Yeah. We'll have the link in the show notes for this event, and we will try to have some pics when we get there on the day of. So that's it for this week. And so thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you again for episode 4. It's going to be a couple of weeks before we get episode 4 out because we have a little bit of an Easter break there. So talk to you guys later.
See you soon.
See ya.
Take that away, but I miss it the most. I'll give you all I can give. There's no better way to live.